Violent video games and video games in general have become part of society since the 1970s when they were first created. But blame has been put on violent video games recently as violence increases within the United States due to the graphic nature, as you've just seen. Are these video games the real problem, though? Since it has become a normality among children, adults, and teenagers of any sex, with millions of people playing these violent video games, why does the media blame video games?
There's absolutely no evidence that any video game, or violent movie for that matter, has ever caused a real-world violent act. Every time there's a school shooting or tragedy, reporters start calling me. And one of the things that I tell them is video game violence, playing violent video games is a normative behavior for teenagers today, especially boys, but for a lot of girls. It's true.
Just part of their life.
It's true that the Newtown, Connecticut shooter apparently played violent video games, but the local kids on your soccer team, your 13-year-old boys who live down the street from you, they're all playing these violent games too, and they are probably okay.
Video games are the problem. We must blame their parental figures for allowing them to play these games. Since video games are rated by the ESRB, or Entertainment Software Rating Board, these violent video games are rated M for mature audiences, and unless they are the age of 17, parental figures must regulate what they can or cannot play. Similarly to movies, that if you are under 17 and want to see a rated R movie, then someone must accompany you. However, we don't blame movies for these violent acts, only video games. Looking for more information about my topic, I did as any other normal person would do and typed it on Google. When this happened, 3 topics were in the results: video games, media, and music. Looking into music, I found people blame violent acts on lyrics, similar to playing video games, like the Odd Future lyrics shown on screen. However, are these really causing violence in our society? The graph on screen shows the number of school shooting casualties from the 1900s to present day. From this, you can interpret that violence in video games does not create violence in our society. The number of casualties have increased over the past couple decades. However, the second highest occurred in 1968, before video games even existed. Even though this graph may prove that violence in video games does not correlate to violence in our society, it does point out one thing: the evolution of guns. There is no doubt that violence is in video games, but the NRA, the National Rifle Association, uses it as a scapegoat, saying we all know the real problem, when it is them themselves, due to the easy access to buy guns and assault rifles in our society. The people that use these guns could be for hunting, but there is no reason to own an assault rifle, besides the NRA's abuse of the Second Amendment. In this lazy gun experiment, this guy leaves a 12-gauge shotgun on his front porch and talks about how his day goes around normally. And then he continues to say at the end, "Now, you can well imagine my surprise with all the media hype about how dangerous guns and how guns kill people. Either the media is wrong and it's my misuse of guns by people that kills people, or I'm in possession of the laziest gun in the world." Even though I do believe that statement, I believe that people should not have the capabilities of owning assault rifles because of the dangers that have happened and can happen. Even though not all violence in our society is caused by guns, as you could see in the side-by-side picture, on the right is a picture of the building after the Oklahoma City bombing. and the left is a picture from Call of Duty Black Ops 2, and how similar they are, and how we don't want this to happen in the world. When events like this occur, we, as a nation and as people, become stronger and unite under what it is to be an American and get through these tough times together. And we don't want these horrific events to ever happen again. But just because we are exposed to violence as humans, either through music or movies like Django Unchained, or video games like the two I show here, Halo 3 and Call of Duty, doesn't make us violent people. It just makes us, it entertains us, it makes us involved in something, involved in, special little groups of people that like Quentin Tarantino and like video games or like specific artwork. It's humans being social, and that's what we do. It doesn't make us violent. In each one of these MLG game battles and E3, gamers and people that just enjoy video games can meet and have this unification through video games, and can create social bonds with people they've never met, and make new friends and stuff like other people do when they go to expos like E3 or concerts. They meet people with similar interests. And then in MLG is competitive gaming, where gamers create teams and compete against other gamers and learn the values of like teamwork and stuff like that. Even though it may not be a sport, it's where people can grow together and share their bond of video games. Even though video games and violence will always have a link to one another, there are positives people can get from playing video games, even if it is violent. Like the 5 I'm showing here. One is spatial reasoning skills. The other is video games and education, collaboration and social skills, critical thinking and rehabilitation, and specific skills. Even though people may think and still think video games causes violence in our society, it actually helps people and reduces stress and all these other positive aspects that it pertains to humans, and it'll always be a part of our lives.